With Woodend, Waikuku and Leithfield just up the road, my journey north will soon take me out of the Waimakariri district and into the Huranui. But I can't help thinking that I'm not finished here and that Waimakariri has so much more to tell. Waimakariri is still growing and developing rapidly, so it's going to be a case of watch this space. And I will. Before I leave the Waimakariri district, I want to revisit some of the people I've met. Denise Illingworth from Ribblesdale Gardens and Wendy Doody started the Oxford Country Fete 3 years ago. They wanted to do something for the local community, and the idea of a country fete was suggested, with Ribblesdale Garden being the ideal location. The Country Fete has grown and developed each year, but still retains a boutique atmosphere with stallholders spread throughout the 4-acre gardens.
Television gardeners, and they would have their television garden and you'd throw seeds in the soil and then they'd walk away and you'd come back after an ad break and everything was beautiful and lush. How many people saw that? Now, how many people gave that a go and they came back and nothing had grown? It happens to everyone, and I think we live in a world where I call it the myth of the television gardener, where these people do this and then they go away and it's all beautiful, and you do it at home, and when it doesn't work out, you think, well, clearly there is something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. You're normal. You don't have the benefit of editing. And I think for a lot of people, they were put off gardening or building things or doing anything because it was made to look really easy on TV when in fact it wasn't.
The Oxford Volunteer Fire Brigade, Oxford Search and Rescue, Cancer Society and Lions will all benefit from the Oxford Country Fete, held recently at Ribblesdale Gardens. The old history of Rangiora and Kaiapoi is being preserved by Larry Jameson, a film historian who immigrated from England and now calls North Canterbury home.
It was 4 years ago when I came to Kaiapoi and I got caught up in the earthquake. I didn't really want to come here in the first place, but once I got here I loved it, and I really do love Kaiapoi, and I wanted to be a part of it. And I thought, well, what's my best way of getting involved? And I thought, well, a good idea would be the job that I do. And I'd gone along to a meeting and I met a lady there and I told her what I did, and she suggested that I might be interested in looking at some old films and pictures they had. So I did. I got a call in from a man called Dale Brown, and he brought me over these films, the films that you can see here now, and I was quite fascinated by them. They really are, well, hidden history, I would say. Yes, hidden history. Here you see a film and a reel of audio tape. Many people in the past will remember they used to have tape recorders, and these reels would go on the tape recorder and they'd record their singing and things of that nature. And this is a reel of 16mm film. The more wealthy people had 16mm film, other people had the little 8mm projectors. What the person who shot these films, a man called Owen Hills, what he done, he shot the film on 16mm and then had the sound recorded on this tape, and then the two would be locked together in order to produce the production that you're seeing now. Well, this film is archive film, and obviously all film is archive film. It's just that some film is more valuable than others. For instance, a person that has lost their mother and they've got some home movie of their mother, that is archive film and is very valuable to them. This particular film is of great historic value to the community, and when the film is finished with and it's all been digitalised, this film will actually go to the New Zealand Film Archives to be put into their storage vaults for some time in the future when we may change systems or something else like this. But the real point that I want to get across is that this is only one part of the film. We have many other shots in here. We have them of the Rotary Club, of Rangiora, of the various places in Canterbury, in Christchurch, that show these images and people, many of whom are still around, but some that have passed on, and these great wonderful processions and floats that they used to have. I would emphasise that this is only a part of a very, very massive collection of film that must lie all over Canterbury at the moment, and it would be very, very important to the museums, the archives and the archivists to get as much together as possible. Well, unfortunately, film is a deteriorating format, and it's deteriorating all the time. There's nothing we can do about it. As the film deteriorates more, it becomes vinegarized. In other words, when you pick it up, you can smell vinegar. The film then starts to shrink, and eventually it turns to dust. You could do nothing with it. So it's extremely important that if people have got film, they act now. In looking at the films, they've been fascinating for me because a lot of the things I've never seen before. I came here, I looked at Christchurch, I thought, oh, what a wonderful little town Christchurch is, and then we carried on looking for a house and things like that. And then, of course, the earthquake came. So therefore, I missed the beauties of seeing the real Christchurch exactly as it was and being able to enjoy it. So what I'm enjoying is seeing these wonderful historic buildings and places as they once were. But not only am I seeing it like that, I'm seeing how people actually enjoyed them and the fun they had, and watching people on the trams and things of that nature. So it's very, very interesting to me, and I'm sure that it'll be interesting to other people as they watch the films that are much, much younger than I am, to see how things were. We're all looking forward to our new towns and our new Christchurch, but preserving our past is very, very important, and that's what these films do. I reckon that we've got round about 6 hours of consistent, good colour footage, and that is very important.
Ellie Brown is a flax weaver from North Canterbury. Her work is done using traditional flax weaving methods.
Well, flax weaving is very much part of the culture of Māori people in New Zealand. I think when they first came to New Zealand, they would have been used to using palm trees and things for weaving, and of course they didn't find much in the way of palm trees here, and so it was discovered that flax had a nice fibre content, and they started to use that. Some things needed to be changed, like with a palm leaf, you've got a keel down the middle and leaves coming out the side, because flax leaves don't have that. So they've adjusted their types of techniques of weaving to suit flax, and then went on to use the qualities of flax to make a lot of different things.
So how did you learn?
I worked with some people who were interested in flax weaving too, and so I caught their interest and started doing it then, and then I've continued on with my own learnings with flax and developing different things, and just kept doing it. And the thing I love about it is that you can just go out into the garden, pick some leaves, and then weave something with it without having to do anything else. You can do it at the beach, or you can do it while you're camping. There's no cost particularly involved. You just need a knife to cut the flax and something to soften the leaves with. So there's a flax leaf like that, which I've just cut from a Formium tenax leaf, flax bush, which is the upright ones, which have the most fibre in. And the process is just to make the strips for the bag first, is to take off that hard middle part, like that, and then just divide the leaf into strips. And then you've got the start of strips to make a basket. They're dyed with chemical dyes, the ones that I've got. You can dye flax with natural dyes, but it's quite hard because flax has quite a large wax content, so it's quite hard to dye the flax itself because the dye can't get through the flax.
So quite a bit of it looks very traditional, but there's also a fair bit of alley in it.
Yes, I have. These are both traditional patterns. I'm doing these as samples for the next book I'm writing, which is on making baskets. So those are traditional samples to show people how to do that. Because flax is such a sculptural kind of material, you can do anything with it while it's still damp, and so you can make different shapes. Like I've got an elongated basket. I do three-cornered baskets and put little curly things around on them. Different sorts of things like that. I like to use the basic techniques, but be creative with them at the same time.
I've come here to Silver Stream, a new comprehensively planned community in semi-rural Clarkville on the western outskirts of Kaiapoi, to see where many of the Waimakariri's new residents have come to live.
Look, it is a wonderful site, but sometimes the more complicated a site gets, it's where it really pushes back on your experience. On the outset, sites look really easy and it all works on a calculator, but it's a really long journey and you need to get it right. And it's the back end of a project that actually makes the community start to have its own heartbeat. And that's really what we've got here. We started just over 2 years ago. And now we've got hundreds and hundreds of homes built with what's better than the homes built. You've got families living in here, and that's just amazing for us. It's an incredible reward that a calculator can never really give you that type of return. So seeing communities, families living in here, people walking their dogs, kids, grandkids, it's really, really lovely, and that really puts you in a great position to then allow the subdivision to mature as a really, really vibrant community.
It's a very long process, and particularly this development, it's a magnificent development. I mean, it's just the most beautiful setting and scenery, but it has so many moving parts, bridges and stormwater retention ponds and a new bridge to be built just here where we're standing shortly. There's so much to this development that it's really quite a complicated process. The undergrounding of the power lines, for instance, has been a massive project. We didn't expect that to be as complicated as it is, but the rewards are there. I mean, when the power lines go down and they're undergrounded, that will really cap this development.
What's different about this project is earthquake, and we, like all Cantabrians, are dealing with issues, cost escalations and so on that we've never been through before. So yes, we have budgeted, but as we've gone along, we've had some surprises, we've also had some upsides, and you've really just got to take it in your stride. And that's the difference between an established, reputable organisation and someone who's getting into the industry. Because someone getting into the industry who's not financial enough to be able to hold some of these things and actually deliver on their promises, get themselves into trouble only because they haven't made certain allocations or their company's not strong enough to see it through.
So it took us close on to 6 years to go through the approval process. And we started construction in February 2012. So yes, it's a bit over 2 years, a bit more than 2 years that we've been actually building. And in that time, there's been a massive amount of development and growth here. There, as Fred said, there's quite a few hundred homes. There's sections. We're starting a shopping centre only this week. The bridge, there's villas being built. It's all happening. But what's really pleasing is to see how beautiful it is and to see people living here and seeing that they're happy. There is a community, and as the shopping centre evolves and people start to see the final picture, then you can really see this development. And we are, as Fred said, we are delivering everything we promised. We promised we'd do the power lines. We're doing the power lines. Everything we've promised, we've delivered, or in the process of delivering, and will be completed shortly. It's a magnificent site. You walked on the land, and it just, sometimes you can see something, a piece of land, and it speaks to you. You know, you feel there's something special about it, and people say it to us all the time. This community has this development, has a heart. It has a how do they describe it? They say a beautiful feeling, or a good feel. A good feel.
Yeah.
I think anyone in a particular business has kind of like an intuitive feel about things, and it's almost like an energetic experience. When you walk onto a piece of land, it either feels good or it doesn't feel good. And this has the most beautiful stream running through it with fish and the trees. It's just magnificent, and you can't help but fall in love with it. I mean, we just loved it. We bought it straight away. We probably should have taken a bit more time to work out how much power lines cost to take underground, but it was just such a magnificent site. You couldn't. It's something you can work with. You can create something beautiful from. If you've got the raw materials, you can create something beautiful. If you haven't, you can't. And we want to create something we want to look back and say, we did that, and everyone's happy. We've created kind of like a little utopia. So that's what's for us is really, it drives us a lot. I mean, money is one thing, but if you focus on the money, you don't really get there. If you focus on creating something really good and you're passionate about it, then the money follows, hopefully. Hopefully.
We have got a very good reputation. We've been around now for over 20 years. We're a Canterbury-based firm. We've been in the market through thick and thin, and we're consistently building really good homes, and that name is synonymous with good homes. And so people, no matter what walk of life, have heard of us generally. Their parents have heard of us, their family have heard of us, and that gives them a sense of trust, I suppose. And we're consistently also providing a very nice product. Our homes are at a lovely level. You can walk into our homes, what you get is what you see. There's no smoke and mirrors about it. We provide fixed price contracts. There's a lot of sense of security around working with Microware Homes and the homes that we build. It's a wonderful development. It's got fabulous green spaces, a beautiful river running through it. The developers have put quite a bit into the infrastructure, and there's a really good mix of types of homes in here. So you've got your standalone type homes with a more family orientated. You've got some slightly smaller homes where perhaps older people or first home buyers are buying into. You've got 2-story homes, more townhouse type living. So it's a really nice mixed community. And if you come out here on any given day, particularly on a sunny Sunday or a Saturday, particularly in the summer, the children are in the river, playing around the river, and people are walking around. It's got a real heart to it. And with the community shops that are being developed here, that gives a further sense of kind of, belonging.
H Investments in putting the subdivision together really have given a lot of thought and set aside some really extensive landscape and green space areas. Having the Silver Stream actually run through the subdivision is a key focal point, and on either side of that they've set aside some really extensive esplanade strips that actually lend and morph into the residential property. So, for example, in the B2 block, they're oriented towards the river with their outdoor living space. So you actually get the feeling, if you like, that you come out of the house into your own space, and then you've got the extensive landscape area beyond that. Of course, you don't have to mow. It's the subdivision that they've given a lot of thought for that connectivity between open space areas and the community. So it's very much community-based and focused.
Silver Stream was it's a signature project for us. We John and Fred, John from H Investments, 2.5 years ago I still sat and had a coffee with him, and he had this idea, and we just wanted to, he was the type of guy that we could work with, and a lot of collaboration going on, and they had a vision, and they needed a contractor that could get up and go, and we had that, and we, with our subdivision experience and our land development experience, we were on board, and we've been there ever since. We're on our 4th stage now, with a couple of external packages on the periphery. And it's going well, and it looks good.
We've been involved with Fred and John for probably about 7 years. Once they purchased the land at Silverstream, we were involved with making a submission to Waimak District Council. There was a council-initiated plan change to rezone the land as residential. So we're involved in putting together the submission for that. That process took a couple of years. We raced forward to the earthquake, and the airport contour restricted residential activity. The earthquake happened. That restriction got removed, and it enabled the whole site to be rezoned as residential.
Well, I've been involved in Silverstream since about 2006, so that's nearly 8 years. I've been looking after the design aspects of it and the construction supervisions.
I'm a chartered professional engineer in civil and structural engineering, and I work here as a director looking after the structural team. So we've been building up our structural team. We're up to around 20 staff now in the structures area, and working on residential, commercial and industrial buildings across Canterbury.